Today, we're going to be doing something we don't do very often on the channel. Unboxing a new watch. Why? Well, this release was a brand new one from Seiko, and I just happen to have my hands on it at the moment. So, let's check it out. Welcome to Addicted to Watches. The watch we have in front of us today is Seiko doing what Seiko does best, re-releasing another version of an old watch. However, this time around, they've made some meaningful changes that make it more faithful to the original. So, let's see if it's worth checking out. This is a Seiko box, but what's inside is the newly released SPB505. Now, this is just going to be an unboxing rather than a full review, and there's no script, so you'll have to bear with me. But this watch is clearly from their Alpinist collection, and is the newest release by Seiko. This one comes with the 6R55 movement, which has a longer power reserve, and along with that comes with a higher price tag. The other notable feature about this one is the word Alpinist up there beneath the Seiko logo, which has returned to the dial after being absent from many of the other recent versions. This one is also the black dial version, with a fairly subtle sunburst, but it is really pleasant. And compared to the previous release by Seiko of a black dial Alpinist, that one only had the triangular markers, whereas this one has the alternating Arabics, which I think I prefer. Now, this won't be a full review, so I won't get into too many of the details. However, I just wanted to give my initial thoughts and impressions because even though I've had a baby Alpinist model, I've never actually spent time with a full-sized Alpinist. That is, with the inner rotating compass bezel and that crown for a clock. Now, this one has a retail price here in Australia of $1,550, which is a decent step up from the previous versions. And Seiko would argue that's because of the movement and probably other increasing costs. But as with any Seiko, you shouldn't really be paying full price, and this one here didn't even cost full price on release either. It came with a fairly healthy discount from an authorized dealer, so you get the full warranty as well. If you don't know much about the Alpinist, where have you been? This is Seiko's mountaineering watch and can trace its origins back even past the Saab 017 to some early models that Seiko released. It has a 39.5mm case, which keeps things wearable, in addition to a short lug-to-lug with those swooping curves. Lug-to-lug, according to Seiko, is 46.4mm and thickness at 12.7. Another difference between this and the originals, but what it has in common with the more recent releases, is that Cyclops over the date, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's not the worst implementation of a Cyclops I've seen. It's got a polished bezel up front, brushed tops to the lugs, and a polished side, which is pretty par for the course, I think, from Seiko. And then it comes on this 3-link bracelet, which feels okay, but for a $1,500 Australian dollar watch, probably could feel a little bit better, to be honest. Clasp as usual Seiko fare as well. Pressed outer, milled inner, and unfortunately only 2 positions of micro adjustment. That by itself isn't the end of the world, but this watch also doesn't have any half links, so there's no real guarantee you're going to get the perfect fit. That said, it does wear really nicely. Like I said, I've only had experience generally with the baby Alpinist models as opposed to the full-sized ones, but the wearing experience of this one is really good, and if I had to, I could honestly keep it for myself. Although out of the new releases, I'd probably pick their teal blue one over this new one. That one feels like it's a bit of a callback to one of the earlier high accuracy 8F perpetual calendar quartz movement ones they had, I believe. And it has sort of orange accents instead of these red ones on the bezel here. So that would be my pick. However, there's nothing wrong with this one at all. It's actually really nice. It's not a pure black, even though in the video it may look like it. It does have a little bit of warmth to it, and that sunburst does lighten it up when it catches the light too. It of course has a 20mm lug width, which is going to be helpful for changing out the bracelet if you want to mix things up. And a black dial like this is going to look pretty versatile on a lot of different straps. But I think, besides the movement upgrade, the big thing about these ones is that word Alpinist there in a fairly iconic script sitting underneath the logo. In addition to this one here and that teal one I mentioned, Seiko also released a green dial version with gilt hands and indices. However, that one only comes on a leather strap, whereas these other two come on the bracelet. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll know I generally prefer bracelets as opposed to leather straps when you can get them, just because it gives you the versatility to change it out if you want to, but if you don't, you have the bracelet. The green one on leather is about $50 or $100 cheaper, so for that price difference, if you're not set on the green dial version, I think it's worth going for the bracelet over that. But overall, while it may not be the most value-focused release by Seiko, which there haven't been many of those in recent times, let's be honest, it is a nice addition to the lineup of Alpinists. I don't think anyone was really expecting them to release new models with an upgraded movement. However, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that Seiko could have done. Certainly compared to some of their 5 re-releases which haven't gone down so well. I think there is actually a bit of excitement about these in the community, which I'm sure Seiko is very happy about that, and it seems like enthusiasts are as well, which is a bit of a win-win. However, like I said, I wouldn't be paying full price, so just wait for the inevitable sales to come on these. Now this one won't be staying with me for a full review. This actually belongs to a friend of mine, so it'll be going back to him. However, it was nice to get a chance to check out an Alpinist and see if it really does live up to the hype that made it so popular originally. I think I still prefer my baby Alpinist to this one, however, this one is really nice, and I do understand why so many people like it. It has an interesting, fairly unique design, especially with the compass bezel, and it still wears really well and feels really purposeful. But anyway, that's it for this quick unboxing of the new model from Seiko. If you're looking to pick one of these up, stock does seem to be appearing at many other authorized dealers around, not just Seiko boutiques, so you should be able to get your hands on them pretty easily. What do you think about this watch? Would you add one to your collection? Was one of the other colors a better pick than this black, grey charcoal dial? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.